When it comes to heavy-duty machines building skyscrapers, slightest of miscalculations can cause the most expensive disaster. Today's video is all about some of the most heavy machine failure that were caught on camera. A hotel that was under construction in New Orleans had most of its upper section completely collapse.
Oh my God.
This negligence of precautions and using straps once contributed to this consequence. A group of workers that were offloading a locomotive engine until the old and worn out straps on the left failed and came apart only to drop it down on the ground. The crew, however, could have taken extra precautions by keeping it closer to the ground or at least clearing out the truck. Miscalculation, inexperience, or perhaps just lost control of the helm. A 200-foot long cargo ship from the Japanese shipping company One slammed into a gantry crane at the port of Busan Newport in South Korea.
Grabing lakas.
Despite knowing full well that this heavy-duty vehicle on the verge of falling, the operators still bother with the cautions. Manitou operator in Minsk, Belarus was busy with the task until the heavy-duty vehicle came off balance. Instead of remaining stationary and avoid flailing, he kept on moving. This was clearly going down the hill long time ago, but that wasn't seen until the last moment. A group of workers who will loading heavy machinery back onto the trailer of the truck without taking much precautions, being on a slope, and despite the truck's rear being up in the air, forced over the excavator. When it comes to structures that are under construction, it's not just the pillars you have to be careful of, but also added weight of surrounding element. These excavator workers didn't know, but certainly learned it the hard way. Things certainly look to have escalated here rather quickly. A tugboat, after losing control, was sucked by the tides until it got stuck under the bridge. Since the boat was stuck just behind the pillar of the bridge, it wouldn't budge despite increasing the speed, and it was only until another boat was called in that it came out. Regret nothing until the humor of nature makes you otherwise. A trailer truck loaded with beer bottles immaturely turned, and that to up a slope only to get stuck. Using a bit of struggle, the trucker attempted to move, but did so at the expense of all the cargo on board.
Bruh, reverse. Bruh. Reverse, bruh.
This really old clip of a big blue crane that was in midst of lifting iron frame of the stadium roof, weighing over 450 tons. What the workers missed out was that it was standing on soft soil, which along with the strong gust of wind sent it tumbling down.
What the hell is what's going on here? Okay, watch it, watch it! Shit! 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 I got it on. Shit!
This mega steel structure that was supposed to be part of a crane until due to unhinging of its foundation, and it fell onto the ground, sending a huge splash. From the very moment of this being planned, this was bound to fail. What a mess. Structures made of concrete may have the advantage when it comes to certain accidents. Residential ones, however, don't.
I lived directly behind the house, and everything just, there was a huge rumble and everything just started coming down, and it was, all of the trees came down back there, a bunch of dust, and just, it was unbelievable.
Among all that a crane can be used to lift, a functional plane shouldn't be one of them. This is why. Apart from the failure of the crane and the crashing of plane, it damaged the infrastructure, not to mention endangering the safety or nearby spectators. Just by looking at this, you can pretty much tell that this would be a bad idea, no matter how well planned. Surely enough, it was proved why. A group of construction workers in Hong Kong, for reasons unknown, were moving an excavator down. They failed to consider the weight imbalance of the arm and bucket, which led to an eventual failure, sending the vehicle down the shaft. This tanker, after having collided in the Nusaybin district of Mardin, had its valve ruptured, causing hundreds of liters of oil to spill. Despite the desperate efforts of the driver, the measures taken were not adequate to stop. A Mexican Navy helicopter that was headed to areas affected by Hurricane Grace started to suffer technical issues mid-flight that forcing the pilot to crash land. From colliding to the bus nearby, getting caught in the electrical wires, the risk of explosion could have easily escalated far worse. A port crane that, whilst it was offloading a windmill hub with its blades that, due to off balance, not just fell into the seawater, but also got damaged beyond recovery. One of the blades struck the ship, completely tearing it apart and rendering the entire set useless. Although it would be quite an achievement to get to own a sports car, it certainly requires a lot more skill as well as caution. This driver in Essex, while visiting a friend, almost perfectly parked his brand new Porsche until he pushed it a bit too much, only to have it crash into a black SUV as well as another blue vehicle on the road. Either the captain of this boat lost control or made a grave mistake. A super yacht that was passing through the inlet of the ocean when the currents took over as it was closing in under a Miami bridge. The resistance on part of the captain only worsened the situation, where while attempting to stop and turn around sent it tumbling around the pillar and puncturing holes within the hull.
Uh-oh.
Apart from being reckless, this guy was quite impatient as well. Within a matter of a couple of seconds, it paid off with dozens of crates falling down and creating a mess. Someone's in real trouble here.
Al día, recuerda este video.
In Harbin, China, a disassembled airplane became stuck under a footbridge while being transported. Entirely, the driver thought he could just drag out the plane. As that didn't, the driver took a desperate move and deflated the truck's tires to lower its height, successfully allowing the aircraft to pass under the bridge, but the damage to hull was already worth millions of dollars. Either the crane operator was in a hurry or didn't realize that these were two small containers, not one, or was just too careless. While being a bit too occupied with the quality of wine, looks like someone forgot the much needed storage quality. Due to faulty tank, a wine processing factory in Spain lost approximately 50,000 liters of wine. Call it miscalculation or just a catastrophic failure. After a brief drilling operation concluded, what the engineers missed was to maintain proper mud weight, hence resulting in a domino effect. Moments like these show that it's not just the right knowledge or experience that's needed, but also common sense. Now, although this was a valiant effort, but also a mere miscalculation on part of the crane operator to balance the scale. It wasn't the missing tires that got this truck to lose weight, rather a hydraulic jack failure that caused it to overturn while being checked. As pricey as this car is, this certainly is a bad idea, but this guy learned it the hard way.
Shit! Mate! What? Dum-dum! Mate! What happened? عادي 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 easy عادي.
All thought dump trucks have capacity to carry, but the overloaded weight here pressurized the hydraulic ram, causing it to burst. With high winds in effect, this crane operator is now installing 2 new windows and paying for one out of his own pocket. Another similar case of failure where straps were used instead of a cable and the carelessness of operators to park above thin ice. An excavator that fell into the water with the breaking of ice, even though a giant crane was called in to pull it out. But another mistake that was made was the use of straps instead of a heavy-duty cables. If there is any vehicle that shouldn't lose control, it's a heavy-duty dump truck. Whilst demolishing a building, a dump truck that was loaded with concrete debris was on a hilly road, naturally slipped by the added weight and came down in speed almost as if it had lost control. It tore through a concrete wall and needed additional obstruction to bring it to a complete halt. From taking lack of precautions to pushing it too much, something like this was bound to happen. While erecting of a steel frame, the workers apparently forgot to use any plumb cables or anything to hold down the frame. But this wasn't it. One of the workers had to mess around with one of the holding pillars that brought the entire thing down like the house of cards. When it comes to airplanes, skimming out on pre-flight inspection, and this seems to be just the case here. A DHL cargo plane suffered a catastrophic failure with the hydraulic system where pilots lost control and tore it apart.